Welcome. Be FireWise, be prepared. I'm Martha Rubin, event promoter and host of Be Prepared Calaveras. In a moment, our first responders will introduce themselves and share important information about being prepared in case of an emergency, especially a wildfire. The fear of wildfire is something we live with, but there are actions we can take to prepare and protect ourselves, our properties and businesses to alleviate the destruction and devastation caused by fire.
Hello, I am Baljit Singh with the Office of Emergency Services. Wildfires are a real threat. During an emergency, OES will notify the public through our public notification systems such as Everbridge and Genesis Protect. At this event, you'll learn how to sign up for the alert and warning notifications and learn how to make your home fire resistant, explore options for safety improvements, and get direct guidance from public safety professionals. Small changes can make a big difference, and this is your chance to take action and help us become a more resilient Calaveras.
Good morning. My name is Mike Johnson, and I'm the Fire Chief at Ebbets Pass Fire District. And today, I'd like to welcome you all to the 2025 Wildfire Preparedness Day. The fact that each and every one of you are here and in attendance is to show that you're prepared for the upcoming fire season. Some of the responses that Ebbets Pass Fire District responds to is EMS, wildfires, structure fires, and all hazards. I want to talk a little bit about the wildfire response. In my opinion, wildfires are the largest threat that we face here in the state of California. And when we respond to wildfires, we respond along with our partner agencies such as CalFIRE and U.S. Forest Service and other adjoining local fire districts. My highest priority for each and every one of you is your life safety. Once we can address life safety concerns, in other words, get everyone out of the impacted area through proper evacuation, then we can start on the property preservation part of our response. This means protecting your home from the threat of wildland fire. It is so important that each and every one of you understand all the many working pieces that go into keeping everyone safe and keeping your property safe. And that starts with more than just the fire districts like the one I represent. That also includes our partners at Calaveras Office of Emergency Services, the Sheriff's Office, and so many others. I'd like to reach out to each and every one of you and express how important it is that we all collaborate on this critical item, being wildfire prepared. With the partnership of the community to do defensible space around your home, getting proper notification ahead of time, making sure you have go bags ready to go for you and your family and loved ones, allows us to expedite our efforts in suppressing wildland fires and keeping them as small as possible. I appreciate you being here. I'll be available for questions after this video. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Calaveras County Sheriff Rochelle Whiting. When fires ignite in Calaveras County, the Sheriff's 911 Communications Center usually receives multiple reports from concerned citizens. Upon receiving a report of a fire, our dispatchers send the nearest deputy and a supervisor to the incident location. Their primary responsibility is to collaborate with the fire incident commander to assess the necessity for evacuations, warnings, and orders. If evacuations are needed, we work with local, allied, and mutual aid resources to quickly and efficiently notify our citizens. Sometimes that means deputies going door to door. It is important to be familiar with the common terminology that we use. An evacuation warning means there is a potential threat to life and property, and those who require additional time or have pets or livestock should leave now. An evacuation order signifies an immediate threat to life, where evacuation is essential to ensure your safety. Evacuation orders mean that the danger is imminent. Areas under evacuation order are closed to public access. Law enforcement conducts focused public safety patrols in evacuated areas. Please adhere to the instructions regarding evacuation orders and warnings. Delaying your departure could lead to traffic congestion and hinder fire suppression efforts. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated for the safety of everyone involved. We understand that leaving your home is a serious decision. In collaboration with partner agencies, we are committed to lifting evacuation orders as soon as it is safe to do so. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Greg Stark, Lieutenant with the Calaveras County Sheriff's Office. We understand that livestock and ranches are a vital industry in Calaveras County. Our office implements an emergency ranch access pass protocol at the onset of a fire incident and maintains coordination efforts throughout the event. We work with our local producers to facilitate access to their animals as soon as possible. Please note that the emergency pass does not grant unrestricted access, and there may be minor delays due to safety concerns. We thank you in advance for your understanding. If you have any questions regarding the Emergency Ag Pass program, please feel free to contact me at 209-754-6783.
So my name is John Lucas. I'm the District Fire Manners Officer for the Calaveras Ranger District, U.S. Forest Service. I'd like to hit a little bit on how the U.S. Forest Service, CalFIRE, and Ebbets Pass work together when we do have wildland fires in our local area. Dorrington and below, we call it mutual aid with CalFIRE. CalFIRE's direct protection area is pretty much from Dorrington down all the way to Murphy's Copper and below. So we would help them out if they're having troubles. They'd ask for our engine or our helicopters or our hand crew. So we work together pretty closely, and same with Ebbets Pass. So anything up and down the Highway 4 corridor, we have a very, very good working relationship with Murphy's Fire, Ebbets Pass Fire, CalFIRE. So we're all into a common goal, and that's protect firefighter and public safety and the lands, the beautiful lands that we have up and down the Highway 4 corridor.
Hello, my name is Catherine Van Cleve, and I'm a member of the American Red Cross. I've been a member for 25 years, so I've seen a lot of changes, and all for the better. I'm going to tell you about a couple programs that we have in the Red Cross. One of the most important is called DAT. That's Disaster Action Team. If you have a tragedy, a fire, a tree falls on your house at any time, 24/7, any day of the week, the Red Cross will come out. We get our information from the police department or the Office of Emergency Services, and we'll put you up in a hotel. We'll give you cash for your needs. The DAT team takes care of emergencies, and they work out of every county. In the American Red Cross in the Gold Country, we have 4 counties: Alpine, Calaveras, Tuolumne, and Amador. And we have 75 people to come and assist you. Another thing that we'll do with you is sound the alarm. We put up free smoke alarms. All you have to do is call the Red Cross, 1-800-RED-CROSS or redcross.org. We'll come to your home, put up a smoke alarm, as many as 3, to keep you safe if there's a fire in your home or your neighborhood. We also draw up an evacuation plan for you, and we give you a list of emergency services in the neighborhood. Myself, I drive the IRV, which is an emergency response vehicle, and that responds to shelters that are opened up. We have 75 people to open up shelters in all 4 counties. In every county, we have a trailer. This trailer is either a single axle or a double axle, and it supplies everything we need to open a shelter within hours for 50 people or 100 people. It has the beds, the food, the coffee, the blankets, the pillows, emergency numbers, things like that. So if a shelter needs to be opened, we'll take the trailer to that location immediately and start unloading it. Another aspect that's really important for you to understand, if we have a tragedy such as the Butte Fire or the Camp Fire, and you donate to the Red Cross and you write on your check that it's for my local area, that is so important. You wouldn't think that's important, but after the Butte Fire, the Red Cross had extra money left over from people that said just local. So because we're an agency that's true to our word, we took that money, we looked for 2 other agencies to pair with, and we put up a cell tower in the Mountain Ranch area. We'll teach children about emergencies. We have emergency preparedness classes. We'll come to any senior center or any school that you like. We even come to businesses. We have volunteers to do that. Thank you for listening to me. If you're interested in joining the Red Cross, there's something in the Red Cross for absolutely everybody. You can be deployed to other states or other countries. You can stay in your own neighborhood, but there's something you can do to help your neighbor. Our goal is to make, in the worst of times, to just bring out the best in people and to make them safe and secure. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michael Magana from Calaveras County Health and Human Services. When a wildfire threatens our community, our team works quickly to activate mass care and sheltering support for those impacted. Our goal is to open a shelter within 2 hours of an evacuation order, depending on the size and scale of the incident. Coordination is key to helping those in need. We work closely with the American Red Cross on sheltering operations. A shelter opened by the county often transitions over to their team. Other times, the American Red Cross activates a shelter directly. This helps minimize pulling staff away from vital services during a disaster. At Health and Human Services, we provide trained staff who support residents during the crisis and connect them to ongoing services afterward. Our staff are on site to assist with mental health needs, replacing food benefits, and many other programs that support our community. We also partner with Calaveras County Animal Services to offer pet sheltering options alongside our human shelters, so people evacuated during an emergency don't have to choose between their safety and their pets. When a shelter opens, we'll post updates on the Calaveras Health and Human Services Facebook page. You can download the smartphone app where you'll find shelter locations and receive push notifications to keep you informed and safe. We know that wildfires can be overwhelming, but you're not alone. Whether you need a safe place to shelter or find support after the smoke clears, the staff at Calaveras Health and Human Services are ready to help.
I'm Emily Kilgore, the Fire Prevention Specialist and Public Information Officer for CalFIRE Tuolumne Calaveras Unit, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about wildfire preparedness. Let's start with some defensible space and Public Resource Code 4291. Many of you are aware of the Zone 0 requirements that we've been discussing for the past 2 years, but as a refresher, that's basically no combustible materials at all within 5 feet of your home. And what that looks like is if you touch the side of your house with one tip of your fingers and stretch out to the other side, the space in between is roughly 5 feet, so nothing combustible in those areas. Keep in mind your decks and decking furniture, garbage cans, and any recreational vehicles being close to the building as well. Second, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about preparedness and your go bag. Make sure that you have some form of financial stability, whether it's a credit card or carrying cash on hand. Make sure that you have any personal documents scanned onto a USB, as well as your personal photos, so they're easily recoverable if you lose those in a fire. And I try to tell people to walk around with their cell phone or a camera and record the contents of their home. Should your home be destroyed in a wildfire, some insurance companies require a detailed list of what was in your home in order to be reimbursed. And then I'd like to refer you guys to our CalFIRE Tuolumne Calaveras Unit Linktree. When you go to Linktree /CalFIRE TCU, you'll be forwarded to a screen like this. I have websites for all of Tuolumne Calaveras Unit, Calaveras County, Tuolumne County, San Joaquin, and Stanislaus County. Everything from OES to the Sheriff's Department to helpful information like our Wildfire Action Plan. Instead of remembering 100 different websites, you only have to remember one, Linktree /CalFIRE TCU.
And thanks for watching.
You guys did a great job, by the way. Yes.
There you go. Good morning, Dennis Lang, Battalion Chief here up in the Arnold area battalion. So we have a great working relationship with Ebbets Fire, the Forest Service, and our adjoining fire districts up here. So if you guys have any questions or things you want to share with us, please come by, stop by the station, whatever you need, and we'll try to get you the answers to questions that you have. Thank you.
I'm Greg Stark, Lieutenant with the Calaveras County Sheriff's Office. I'm in charge of community relations, neighborhood watch, and a bunch of other things. My job during the fire will be a liaison between the fire service and the sheriff's department and all law enforcement to make sure that communication is going well and things run smoothly.
I'm Heather Reith. I'm the Natural Resources Program Manager for Calaveras Big Tree State Park. Our role will be really to evacuate our visitors within the park and state park protection.
Mike Johnson, Evans Pass Fire District. I think you kind of got a pretty good understanding with the local municipality here, work with the cooperators, try to do everything we can to assist you before something happens, right? And we also provide the EMS and other specialty type of all hazard response services as well. That should work.
Yeah, good morning everyone. John Lucas, Division Chief for the Forest Service here on the Calaveras District. I protect from basically Dorrington all the way up to the top of it. It's past there before it dives over to the other side into Markleyville. And my office is in Hathaway Pines. If you have any questions, please stop by. I'm usually in there pretty much every day during the summer. Thank you for having me.
Good morning, I'm Bill Fullerson. I'm the Fire Chief of Murphy's Fire District. My office is at the corner of Main Street and Highway 4, and we're here to cooperate with all the other operators in the room.
All right, I know OES from Calaveras County wanted to be here, and I think we have a lot of their information for you today, and I think between Greg Stark, myself, and the other folks will be able to cover their items if there's some questions. So please imagine that Calaveras Office of Emergency Services is right here. We have some of their handouts too, so and we'd be happy to get underway with some questions. Anybody have any questions for us? Oh, I see one. All right, that's all we need to start the icebreaker. Okay, here we're gonna have somebody bring a microphone over to you. Make sure you speak into the microphone so our folks can hear you in the back.
It seems like you have a wonderful system going. I'm really impressed. Didn't have any idea. But with all the cuts in government services that are sort of been happening throughout the country, I was wondering if you feel that you might have issues now with all the different departments.
Yeah, I certainly believe, the question is government cuts, things along those lines, and essentially the ripple effect, I think, that kick things off when you're a local government entity like Evans Pass, and I can speak to that. Largely, we're getting support directly from the property owners, and that's a real blessing for the community and other things. So as far as those impacts, I mean, they could definitely happen. I think as you get, bigger and bigger and bigger government gets a little bit closer to maybe some of those immediate impacts that I think you're referring to. Are there any of the panelists that want to address that? Sure. Probably the people employed with the federal government.
Yeah, as far as the Forest Service wide and with the government cuts, fire wasn't really affected. It kind of stayed away from us. Matter of fact, Dorrington Station, where we have our engine and our crew, is better staffed in the last 5 years, so it kind of really didn't affect us. The thing that will affect us as bigger fires happen in California and throughout the country is a big turnover as far as retirement this year. A lot of people decided to retire and not stick out through whatever reasons through their issues with what's going on. So that's kind of what's going on with the Forest Service.
For the Sheriff's Office, we have taken some financial cuts. However, our frontline staff has not been affected. And the good thing about California is we have a large mutual aid system, and it also works for fire. If there's a large incident in this county, we can draw upon resources from other agencies that'll help minimize the risk. And the state does have a fund to help pay back the counties for fire-specific incidents for responders that come help us. So right now we're doing okay. Just in general, are limited staffing. We have 4 on, that's a full shift. Right now, our staffing's at 5, so we'll be doing better at the onset, or the initial attack, if you will, for a fire, and then we'll draw on those allied agencies.
Okay. Just to follow up on the same theme, Chief Fullerton, I know that you administer programs large and small. You've got defensible space and door-to-door chipping. And I know you're involved in some of the larger fuels reduction programs on the land. Can you give us a sense of the current situation of those programs, and are there changes on the horizon in the new political climate?
I guess I have to switch hats at this point. I'm also the project manager for the Calaveras Foothills Fire Safe Council. We, over the last 20 years, have provided seniors lot clearing programs. There's some applications in the back. It's free lot clearing programs. We have seen a tremendous downtick in the amount of grant funding opportunities since the transition of the new staff. We just got notice that CalFIRE's grant program that we've relied on for the last 3 or 4 years has been continued. We don't know when that's going to open. We've just been told this year. So maybe CalFIRE's got some better answers on that. But we continue to do the seniors lot clearing program. We continue to do door-to-door chipping program. We continue to do large-scale field breaks within Calaveras County. And we'll be back in the back of the room after this panel if you have any questions specifically to your area. But we are seeing some downtick in grant opportunities, but we anticipate, because of the catastrophic fires in LA Basin, that we'll probably see an uptick in that funding source, but we haven't seen it yet. So hopefully we will see it soon.
Can you expand upon the chipping program?
Yeah.
What exactly is it?
Sure. The chipping program actually expired this year. We just applied through PG&E for additional funding. We've done it over the last 20 years. We've probably done it 17 of the last 20. That provides, if you've done your lot clearing on your particular piece of property, we come in and we chip it for free. The seniors program, which should start sometime early summer. Unfortunately, it's a bad timing for you guys, especially if you have VIP programs. But we're at the mercy of environmental work that has to be done prior to us putting work on the ground. But that seniors program does the 4291 clearances for seniors and disabled folks throughout Calaveras County. We've done it every year since 2003. A lot of people still don't know about the program, but we do all that required 4291 work for you free of charge.
What's 4291?
That's the 100-foot clearance zone that CalFIRE requires you to clear around your lot.
On the senior assistance for free, what is there an income thing? If there's no income? Okay.
No, you just have to be 60 or over, or have some kind of disability that affects your ability to clean your lot.
Okay, thank you.
Which agency do we apply for that?
You can go to the Calaveras Foothills Fire Safe Council website, or there's applications in the back of the room on our desk.
There's a question about clarification.
You mentioned that once your lot is cleared, then you will come in and chip. But if it's been cleared, what are you chipping?
2 different programs. So the chipping program, which isn't offered right now, we would chip the actual piles that you created during your defensible space program. The seniors program actually does all the work for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that. Would the chipping program work for us in Arnold too?
Yes, Calaveras County-wide.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah, Laura?
Could you tell me what the order in which everybody responds in your group if there is a wildfire that occurs up here in Arnold, please?
Sure. Well, Bill's going to show up with a chipper first. No, just kidding. Here, I'll stand up. I feel bad. I'm sitting down. So essentially the call comes out, And depending on, you know, what the time of year is and the severity, we work through, for the most part, through the emergency communication center that CalFIRE runs. So we have a contract with them, the local providers do anyway. And they have these, you know, magnificent systems that tell them based off of the time of year how much equipment to send. And this is really more of a Dennis Lang, and he can explain on that. But matter of fact, I don't know why I'm talking about it, because you are the guy. So we'll just say it's the middle of fire season and everybody gets notified. Why don't you take it over from here?
So basically, if you have an incident or something that's going on, you dial 911. A lot of people think that is instantaneous. So it is when you get there, but it takes, we have that little time factor that you got to get into it. So when you do that, hopefully you know what location you're at, or give some, you know, descriptive location. And then during the year, we have preset run cards that says how many pieces of equipment, how many personnel, and what agencies are going to that. And it starts off, most counties or units goes to the sheriff's office, some sort of dispatch center, and then they take it and then they send it over to our dispatch office. And then we look it up through GPS and how they do at the emergency command center, and then send the appropriate units to that area. And then if it goes on an extended attack versus that, depending on, you know, the time of the year, we have different agencies come. So CalFIRE will have a response, local government will have a response with the Forest Service and law enforcement. And then the Lieutenant talked about, we join together to do a unified command. So that way, if we have an evacuation area and we do warnings and all that, the Sheriff's Office deals with that part, and we tell them, hey, this is where the fire's going, what to do, and these people need to come out.
When does it go to OES and American Red Cross? When do they get called in?
So it all depends on what type of incident or call it is. So usually with the first oncoming incident commander there, depending on the call type, that they would contact the dispatch and say, hey, will you give Red Cross a call if it's a structure fire or a wildland fire, and depending on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to, you know, to add one thing that I love to say every time we have these meetings is, I think Chief Fullerton, how many years ago did we drop all the boundaries? Okay, long time ago, we dropped all the boundaries for the special districts, CalFIRE, local government, Forest Service, federal, and we just all came together, Sheriff's Office, and just like, hey, we need to meet the mission of whatever the emergency is, right? So to really bring home this message is, we don't care what the patch says on the shirt, or what it says on the truck, or who gets there first, second, third. We're all rushing in to keep fire small. If you have a medical emergency, we just rush in to help whoever's there, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a state resource, fed resource, Murphy's fire resource running into our area, Ebbets Pass running into somebody else's. All you care about is in your time of need that we're going to come. And we have made the pact to one another that, hey, egos, jurisdictions pushed aside. If we're there, we're responding. We'll worry about who owns the jurisdiction later, and we're going to do our best to, you know, mitigate whatever the emergency is. So maybe that answers the question as well. So.
Does that include the local fire stations?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So.
Because I didn't hear that mentioned when you were talking about
yes. Yeah, everybody. So right now we have, for an example, who lives in Lakemont? Oh, well, one person. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So Lakemont is right across from the CalFIRE station, right? So as long as they're there, not training or whatnot, and let's say you have a medical call, and we're the primary medical provider for the area. We have the ambulances and the paramedics, right? CalFIRE will show up first to your medical call, and they will start rendering you care, and we'll be there shortly thereafter because their drive is that much shorter. For another example, if we're up in Dorrington and we respond to a wildland fire, and it happens to be on what we call the federal response area, or the FRA, which is where Chief Lucas has his folks in his jurisdiction, we're just going to go up there and start putting water on the fires, an Ebbets Pass Fire District employee. And when he gets there, which he probably already beat us there, but let's say, for instance, they didn't, we transition and transfer, of course, all the authority. We don't want to own it because we don't want to pay for it. That's between you and I. But we're going to do our best to keep it small. And same thing with CalFIRE. If we're there and we're looking at the airplanes and we're like, put the water drop over here, or we're the Ebbets Pass person, as soon as Dennis Lane shows up with somebody to transition the incident command, they call it, over to them, we will. But initially, all we care about is trying to get all the resources pointed in the right direction and stop the fire or whatever the emergency is. So the overarching message is we're all showing up. Whoever gets there first, take command, do the best you can, and as we get established, we'll make sure that the incident gets in the right hands ultimately. But our immediate concern is just stopping whatever the emergency is.
Chief, could we just talk for a second about under what conditions the county incident command center would open, where all these people would be represented, all the supervisors of the different parts would be open, and under what conditions the district that's in your firehouse command center might be open, so people have a sense that under these conditions we're going to have the countywide OES. We're going to be open for business under these conditions, and then at your station, if it's something that's right here, there'll be something open at the station here.
Sure, I'll be Eric Holt for like a minute, and he's the emergency manager of the county. Just give him a little bad time. I love emergency management, actually. But so essentially what Ken's asked is how big does an emergency have to be before our county emergency operations center gets established, and just to give you an idea, it's kind of two different realms in my perspective. You have the responders. We'll say Dennis Lane, he's the battalion chief of this area. Let's say we go to his fire, Ebbets Pass, Forest Service, Murphy's. We're all working for him as the incident commander. And let's say that an emergency and a wildfire goes on for 2 or 3 days. And so the EOC, Emergency Operations Center, it starts standing up, and what it does is under the purview of the Director, Office of Emergency Services, or the Emergency Manager, which is Eric Holt, he is going to bring in the heads of probably every county department that could be impacted. Number one is finance, because now we're generating costs for the county. And I'm sorry to keep chasing the dollar around, but that's kind of the way things work. Maybe the roads department, definitely the sheriff's department. They're not only responding, but they're in charge of the evacuations. So they'll have a rep in there, another fire agency that's not impacted besides Chief Fullerton and I, maybe from Valley Springs, they'll sit in there. And they'll be like the support and get those resources kind of networked here locally. And ultimately, communications and things like that, Aries Races, and that means a lot to our ham folks, but communications, the list goes on. So every department, how many departments in the county? 20, 30?
Way too many.
A lot. Oh, I'm sorry. A lot. So let's say every department head shows up, elected officials show up, and that EOC, and there's information, unification. Don't get me wrong. This gentleman and their agency, if it stays at a low complexity, like a type 3, or it goes bigger into a type 2 or a type 1 incident command team, which would be a really bad situation, the operations is going to be run out of there. The EOC is going to provide lots of other services, especially if it's a low complexity incident like a type 3. They'll probably be doing a lot of the logistics because it won't be out of an incident management team. I'm speaking way out of my lane for both OES and now apparently for CalFIRE, but that's kind of how I look at it. And so once that occurs and they're sending out the same information for the public information officer to the media, essentially it could be kicked up from there. And I won't go into belabor the details, but if we got to do a declaration of emergency that goes to the state OES and they're like, hey, no, we're broke, it's got to go to the federal government, then we got to do like this other, and it has to do with all those working pieces.
Could I just add that at the county level, for example, the last, when the fire was in Copperopolis, Eric was there immediately and open. So all the department heads, including all the supervisors, even though I wasn't, that's not my district, he informs everybody. So at the county level, I just want you to know it happens immediately.
Thank you.
Morning. Thank you for organizing. This is really helpful. We're fairly new homeowners in the Big Trees area. So I have a question. Where we live, there's a lot next to us that we know the homeowner, she's quite elderly, and it hasn't come up probably in a couple of years at least. And that lot probably hasn't been cleared in 2 years. And we try to do a little bit around the base of their house because obviously we have our own concerns about what that could mean for our home. So is there some sort of a time limit, and what's the process for, does anybody come out and then clear their lot and then charge them for that work? Because I'm really concerned that this lot is really starting to build up quite a bit of material.
Do I take that, Dennis Lane? Yeah, I can speak to just what, so the lot clearing, just so you know, the lot clearing. The regulatory authority for improved lots, which means a structure's on it, is CalFIRE. And we keep saying PRC 4291. I know you're like hair blowing back, like what the heck are we talking about? That's really where that regulatory authority comes from. It's Public Resource Code. It's yada, yada, yada. Really what it means is there's only one entity that can regulate state resource code, and that's the CalFIRE agency. I know that seems kind of polar opposites because we're the local municipality. You think that we're the structure folks. We should tell you what to do around the homes. It's really just the opposite. We have a special ordinance. Joan Lark's here today. She could talk about unimproved lots at the table. Not discussion, but oh, and how many of those lots they're going to be inspected maybe up in Dorrington this year?
We're hoping with all the VIPs and the seasonals that are starting on Monday to hit majority, if not all of the area. So everyone should be prepared to get a 4291 inspection this year.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, we're doing really well with the our folks for doing the 4291 process, and then through that process and the application, if they're non-compliant, that they will have to get a recheck and stuff like that. And then even for you, if you're able to communicate with a neighbor, is maybe help them out and get some of the resources like through Chief Fullerton and through our 4291, our DSI people, to be able to educate them and how to do that and get things taken care of, because the ultimate goal is for everybody to be fire safe.
So what happens if you don't have your lot, you're waiting for the seniors program, and CalFIRE comes by and says, oh, you're out of compliance? What happens then? Do you get like a pass? Or do they?
Well, it's not really not a pass. You would certain amount of time frame goes through, and then you would get a recheck on that and go through, and then somebody would contact you, either certified mail or another word like communication that way, and then go back and say, hey, this is what we're in the process of doing to be able to get it taken care of.
You just hope the bureaucracy is really slowing things down so you don't get a ticket. Yeah.
Oh, she's got her own.
Kind of controversial, as usual. But thank you also to the Ebbets Fire Department for being always there for me personally. You are absolutely top-notch, incredibly professional, and I love you all. I do want to say, if you have recommendations and opinions maybe, or legislation that talks about burn piles versus shipping stuff off a lot, because there's a lot of burn piles that go on, and people say, oh well, I can't afford to do anything else, and I understand that, and I'm concerned, one, for the fire department, and I'm also concerned about the air quality. If you could talk to both of those issues, please.
Yeah, so is a little bit of controversy. The good thing is we want to reduce fuels, right? And with so many years of putting fires out for so long, our fuel loading is just over the top. So to be able to take care of the easiest way is probably to burn small piles, and you apply for online permit. And when we're in a permit process, which just started, anybody know the date? May 1st. Great answer, May 1st. We are now in our permit process, so you can do that, go online, it's really simple to do, you watch a video, take care of what you need to, and a small 4x4 pile to be managed. So we get a lot of questions, people ask, well, I see that, but it's actually 4x6. We'll take a couple branches off, now you got a 4x4, and you can get the simple LE62A. If you have larger piles, which we identify as a LE5 form, and we'll come out, you apply for it, we come out, inspect it, look at it, make sure everything's safe, all your parameters are there, have a discussion with you, and then go from there. Usually that our permit process will go until we declare fire season, which could be coming next week. We don't know yet. It depends on fire weather, depends on activity in the state, and what goes on with that is where we will cut off fires for the permit process. The other thing is that you're able to find some location to be able to take the stuff or chip it, which sounds like I didn't know we had a chipper program, so very good. I think that should be everybody to check into and keep those guys busy. Hopefully we get that taken care of. So, in the smoke management, we try to do our best. CalFIRE's thing is keep every fire 10 acres or less, so hopefully we don't have any more catastrophic fires like we've had in the past.
I know your point is that, hey, rather than do burning, rather than make smoke, maybe we can make some sort of regulation to move the stuff out some other way. I don't think anybody in here would be opposed to some magic way of getting those pine needles in a dumpster or something like that. I know Cal Waste does some for a fee, right? There's a cost affiliated with it.
I was just going to say that the handy hauler, if you are a Cal Waste client, they are meant to give you a handy hauler, which I believe takes care of all the pine needles and yard waste.
For free.
Yes.
And there's one out there that they're raffling off, so step out there. And Joan is here. If you have any other questions about clearing your lot, she's happy to talk to you about it.
So if you're a Cal Waste customer, we need to be talking to those Cal Waste folks. Sounds like there's an opportunity for a non-burning option for you. Thank you.
Oh, here. You go.
Thanks for putting this on today. Could you explain a little bit about the OES notification program, a little bit for cell phones and how that works? It's been updated over the years.
So I'll talk for OES who couldn't be here today. So they have, one of the most important things you can do is know your zone. They've been pushing that message for quite a while through Genesis Protect. So if you look up our zone right here, before Mike just handed me the card, we were seeing what zone we were in. So you can get the app on your phone and it'll tell you any zone you're at. So if you're vacationing somewhere or just knowing your zone at your home, we're in CCU 047 right now. So first off, knowing where you are. So when the message does come out, we use Nixle, Everbridge, we use social media. OES uses multiple platforms to get the message out that there's a fire and which way to go. So when we put the zone out of, for instance, zone CCU 47 is in a warning, that will tell you that there's a fire that's coming to your area. And if you have mobility issues, large animals, things of that nature, transportation issues, that's your cue to start packing, getting your go bag, and head out. So multiple platforms, there's reverse 911, there's some other programs for phone lines. It's pretty much an all call. When we go to evacuate or do even warnings, it's an all call. We can geographically locate it to certain areas so the whole county doesn't go into a panic. We can and make sure that we stage it with the help of fire to make sure that, a real concern up here is traffic congestion. So making sure we get that message out early, and we do it strategically where the most affected are hit, and then as the fire progresses, knowing traffic flows and traffic congestion to make sure that flows smoothly, to make sure that they don't interfere with the fire suppression efforts. Did I answer your question? Yes.
Lieutenant, can you also just let everybody know about the tag and once they've evacuated, what to do?
So there's also an emergency evacuation tag that we and OES have pushed out. It's very important that if you evacuate yourself or you evacuate during a fire, that you put that in a very visible area outside your home, the mailbox, whatever. That lets the first responders know who are responding that residence is good to go. We don't have to go there. That just expedites our ability to go from house to house to make sure people are out. What that also does, if there's an evacuated area, that tells first responders, law enforcement specifically from around the area, which house is evacuated. And what we do is we pretty much concentrate on those. We'll do an initial walk around, and then we'll make sure we keep an eye on those homes during a fire. So if there's a light on, somebody walking around, you might be a neighbor walking around your neighbor's house who was evacuated, you're going to get contacted. And the sheriff's office takes a zero tolerance with either looters or going into a zone that's been evacuated. We work with the district attorney. You go into a looted zone or evacuated zone, you're going straight to jail, and then you will be prosecuted. We push that message with our partners during the incident.
Thanks, Lieutenant. Follow-up question. Supervisor Huberty talked about having some practice drills for evacuations in some of the HOAs here. Is there anything in the Sheriff's Department about the possible benefits of doing something like that in other parts of the county? And a related issue is thoughts about traffic control during an evacuation.
So during evacuation, exercising evacuation can't be understated enough. We don't want the first time somebody to think about how they're going to evacuate when the event's going on. So having that pre-knowledge of what you're going to do, how you're going to go, how things are going to flow, working with Board of Supervisor Huberty and other Board of Supervisors, it's imperative. Even if you have a tabletop where it's just exercise through, hypothetical what's going to happen, that'll give somebody the awareness of what they can expect and how they can mitigate it. In regards to traffic control issues, we work with our CHP partners very well, and even Angels Camp PD. We're very aware of the stoplight down in Murphy's as an issue of a bottleneck, if you will. One of our first concerns is sending somebody to that intersection to get traffic control going one way, or going through that quickly. And going down the hill, just when we're talking about evacuations, may not be the safest. You might want to go up the hill, depending on, there's not as much services, but that might be the flow of the fire. And to speak about around the county, speaking for Eric Holtz and our community providers, you have a June 14th meeting, and I applaud Board Supervisor Andal for being here. Fire, and we've learned this from the Butte fire and many fires in Palisades, it doesn't stick to a district. So the fact that our Board of Supervisors are here engaging early before something happens, giving them the first-hand information. The Butte fire started over in District 2 and moved over this way. So yes, having evacuation exercises, having these community meetings, each one of you will probably go home and talk to somebody that wasn't here. Each one of you should go home and take some preparedness efforts. That's just that many more people to get our message out and to let people know that there is a plan, what the plan is, and the plan will change as events unfold, and we push that message out.
Last question. Is there a mic?
Thank you. I know I spoke to Chief Johnson about this a little bit ago. I think he knows what I'm going to say. Up in Blue Lake Springs and I'm sure other areas, there's these gates that go to SPI land and so forth. In an event of an emergency, who is going to be opening those for us, and who has keys?
So we're fortunate to have a very good working relationship with our SPI representative in this area. Some of our search and rescue members that are in this room have access to that, and they'll be activated in the event of an emergency. We will call upon them. I know CalFIRE agencies have them. I personally don't have a key to that, but I have a universal key. I have no problem with anybody. I'm sure. I'm on patrol. I'm everywhere. I'm sure anybody on this panel, if there's a gate that's locked, cut the nearest link, cut the lock, open the gate, get people through. We'll get a key there, or we'll get the universal key to get it open. That's the least of our concerns. Try to be a good neighbor. Don't cut the middle of the link. Cut close as you can to the lock. Get the gate open and get people through. That's the bottom line.
Thank you.
All right, so I think what we're going to do now is move beyond the first responder panel. We have one. You see, one more. One last. After this one, we're going to move into a short presentation from Columbia, and then we're going to do a services panel. And Martha's got the raffle, and then we're going to eat some food. I'm getting hungry. Go ahead, sir.
What would happen if there was an emergency evacuation and a homeowner in a remote location declined to evacuate? and they stayed on their own property and possibly even only within their home, didn't even wander around the outside, but they may to install sprinkler systems and things like that. What would the consequences be for that?
So our deputies, even though it's an evacuation order, our deputies are not going to drag somebody out of their house and take them out of the zone. What we will do if somebody refuses, when we have those often, what we do have is a refusal form. And we'll generally ask somebody's name, we'll ask their date of birth, we'll ask how many people are in the home, and we'll ask who their dentist is. And that, I don't say that flippantly, because people that stay do two things. One, if the fire burns them over, that's how we're going to identify them with their dental records. And two, many times people will call back saying, hey, I didn't evacuate, I'm getting overrun, and now that's going to put the fire responders in a bad place to either try and go get them and put their lives in additional danger and stop the threat of the threat of the fire going somewhere else. But when we tell them, we ask those questions, we let our dispatch know these people are leaving, and if it gets burnt over, that's when we're going to go look to find the remains. And that's how serious it is. And I'm not trying to be fear-mongering, I'm not trying to be vulgar, I'm trying to impress upon people. Look at what's happening in our fire behavior. We lost entire neighborhoods. Santa Rosa, go down the list. There's the Palisades. That was a town, and we lost thousands of homes and hundreds of people to Camp Fire. I might go on and on of how we lose people in fires, and generally it's because many times they stay behind. So we're not going to drag you out, but we are going to ask some questions. We will leave you there, and that's why it's imperative you have to evacuate it. To let people know that you're not evacuated and you're supposed to be there. And you'll probably be contacted by a lot of our law enforcement agencies that come by to want to know who you are and why you're there.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to let our first responder panel remove themselves. And stay right where you're at. And we're going to have about a 10-minute presentation from Columbia College.
Thank you very much. I'm guessing we'll be quicker than 10 minutes, but I'm Brandon Price. I'm the Dean of Career Technical Education at Columbia College. I oversee areas such as fire, forestry, healthcare, emergency medical services, wildland fire, etc. that are related to this. And I have with me Kevin Price from the Sierra Nevada Alliance, and also a fellow at Columbia College who works in our forestry program. And like I said, we will be quick.
No relation.
Yes. So we'll just talk really quickly about some of the programs that we have where we work in forestry. And of course, I think what's most timely right now is we work a lot in fuels reduction and wildland firefighting. I think that's of interest to people. We need more people doing this work. And so one of our programs is our forestry and natural resources program. This is one of the biggest programs at the college. It includes forestry, watershed management, and then of course management and restoration of fire adapted ecosystems. I am not a faculty member in this area, but I'm going to pick on Richard and Claire in the back because they're like, what? Because they have taught some of these classes around fire management and restoration of fire adapted ecosystems and the such. And so these are great programs, and if you know people who might be interested, we need more people working in these areas of reducing our fuels, etc. Some of the classes that are included in the Forestry and Natural Resources program that I think are of specific interest today in our efforts to reduce fuels and fight wildfires are our ecology and use of fire and ecosystems, our fire fuels management class, and then we have classes with heavy equipment that are also really important to reducing the fuel loads in our forests. Such as our tracked masticator operations class and our logging equipment operations class. And there's there's lots of jobs in these areas right now in FNR and both in forestry and wildland firefighting. And I'm going to switch over to the wildland firefighting program. So wildland fire, we actually a couple years ago launched a program called the Forestry Corps. And this is actually a 1-semester program where students learn how to do some of the essentials of both wildland firefighting for like an entry-level wildland firefighting position. Also fuels reduction, and then at the end they actually get a taste of the heavy equipment training. So they do the mastication, and then we have partnerships with agencies like Sierra Resource Management where they go and do some more hours of heavy equipment training if they're interested in that. And of course that can lead to a great job doing heavy equipment training where we have a shortage of folks doing that work too. If you do the wildland firefighting program, you do earn a lot of the National Wildfire Coordinating Group certificates. And like I said, it really prepares an individual in just a single semester. It prepares an individual to do like entry-level wildland firefighting, so like a summer wildland firefighting crew, for example. And then there are opportunities to expand upon that education. And those programs are great gateways into a whole bunch of different careers, and you can see those on our websites, or we have flyers in the back as well. These are just some examples of the classes you take if you go for the wildland firefighting certificate. So you're learning CPR, basic power saw safety, basic wildland firefighter, ecology and the use of forest, fire fuels maintenance, wildland fire chainsaws, wildland fire control, fitness training, and then there's a bunch of electives that these students go through depending upon what the concentration is that they're interested in. I will note that some of these classes might be of interest to community members. So for example, each semester we offer our Fire 111 class, basic power saw safety. That's a weekend class. And a lot of people are like, hey, I would love to learn how to use a chainsaw properly. And so if that's an option, is to sign up for that kind of class. We also occasionally do contract education with agencies. So someone will contract us, like we're doing some contract work right now. We're putting together with CHIPS. I don't know if Craig Case is here, but Calaveras Healthy Impact Solutions. They have a lot of crews that do fuels reduction. And so we're doing training with them to train their people to use chainsaws or to do CPR, those types of things. So if an agency is interested in putting on a chainsaw training, we can work with them to do that. Instead of the student coming to the college to do it, we could do it in their area as well. And then of course we also have our more traditional fire technology and science program, which includes our Fire Academy, which I'm guessing we have some people here today that went through the Columbia College Fire Academy in the past. And folks can also earn their associate's degree in fire science through this program. And there's a picture of one of our recent Fire Academy graduations and all the state certifications that go along with that. And like I said, I'm guaranteeing there's people who've been through that academy that are better prepared to answer questions about it than I am. And I think that is about it. If you have any questions, myself, again, the Dean of CTE, Kevin, I'll hand over the mic to see if you have anything to add, Kevin, and then Richard and Claire, if I can put you on the spot. We're not gonna raise our hands back there. Richard and Claire Rappaport have both been instructors for us and fantastic job, so they may have be able to answer questions about the courses too. So I'm gonna hand over to Kevin.
Yeah, I think the main thing I would have to add is that I've been at Columbia a relatively short time at this point, but it is a really, really unique landscape and like opportunity place to put some of this theory into practice sometimes, right? We're talking a lot about this and whatnot. The classes are very much designed to be as hands-on as possible, right? So we do spend time in the classroom, but we have 208 acres to work with on our campus, I believe. 280, yeah, I hear different numbers sometimes. Quite a large campus. And so our forestry, natural resources, and the wildland fire, all of them are designed to be working on that campus, and we do a lot of hands-on work, right? So that you can get comfortable with it under supervision, with equipment that is maintained well, which is essentially my job. I maintain a lot of the equipment for our classes, like track masticator and fuels, and the chainsaw classes and all that sort of stuff. And that there's also just if you're looking to get knowledge in one area of it, we have it basically all, right? Like Brandon was mentioning, you can talk about the watershed, right? We can look at just fire. Me, I'm in the forestry department, so a lot of times we're talking about like timber cruising, right? And like actually doing timber harvest. It's all a part of it. And if we're looking to kind of like promote what we call, a healthy forest these days, you need to look at all of it. And so the guys here that are doing it, playing their role. There's a lot of timber cruisers and there's a lot of heavy machine operators out there that are playing a role trying to make a healthy, fire-safe forest for you and our communities. And Columbia's out here trying to support it as much as we can.
Yeah, question. I look around the room, we're not young studs here. So what can we do? As I'm 60, and if we want to get involved in something like this, I'm from up here. I'm a Darby descendant from Red Apple and been up here my whole life. What can we do to get involved at this age, to take courses to get involved with? What can apply to us?
I think one of the great things, we get a lot of referrals to our programs where people who are a little bit older have talked their children or grandchildren into doing these programs when they graduate high school and they're like, oh, I'm not sure what I want to do with my life. It's like, hey, in one semester you could go out to Columbia College and do this wildland firefighting program and be one of the people that we need out there doing these efforts. Or heavy equipment is an area where we're starting to have a real shortage of people that can do this work. You can go out there in this amount of time and do this heavy equipment operation. Some people do want to, come out and take the chainsaws classes and things to make their space more defensible. But I'd say probably the primary thing is referring more people to the programs and just being aware that they're out there.
I will say that we do have some retirees in several of our classes or older community members that come out to be more comfortable, right? Like this last semester, we had our fire fuels management class, and we're showing you how to do burn piles safely, properly, and realistically, like they were pointing out earlier, that's something you can do on your own property at times too, and learn more about the process to understand that we do consider like air quality as a part of that burning process and the fire conditions when you're able to do it so that you can feel comfortable doing that yourself, right? Or with your neighbors to make more defensible space.
Other questions?
Any other questions?
It's not so much a question, but I know at Calaveras High School, they now have a forestry class that is kind of feeding these hopefully students up into.
That's a great point. Yeah, and almost all of the area high schools, we now have forestry or fire or both classes. And it's a great opportunity with the dual enrollment because those classes are free for students. I guess I should also add, kind of as a global perspective, the high school students, they graduate from our counties, Calaveras, Tuolumne County. Those students are eligible for the Promise Scholarship, which means they go to Columbia College tuition free, and then they usually get financial aid on top of that. So it's a really great deal. If they go full time, they're gonna go to college tuition free for 2 years, long enough to get an associate's degree. So graduates from Calaveras, Bret Harte, Sonora, Somerville, etc. So yeah, we have a lot of, we have almost 1,000 students in dual enrollment a year, and our college is 4,000 students a year. So we're probably one of the biggest dual enrollment schools in the state, actually by percentage.
Yay.
All right, we're going to transition into our last panel, of our services folks, which is going to include the Red Cross, CCWD, it's going to the Health District. This is going to cover. That's you, Ken Sanders. Come on up. Our community GMRS, radio communications. They're going to come up here, have a seat near a mic. And who else did we forget? Who else is coming up here? Oh, perfect. All right. So we'll get everybody up here, and we're going to do some, you're going to introduce yourself. Grab a seat.
Girls on this side.
Okay. All right. All right, I'm going to start over here, and we're going to get everybody introduced.
Good morning, my name is Holly. I'm a forestry technician with CalFIRE. I'm not sure why I'm up here though. Marcy asked me to come up here to talk to CalFIRE. But I am a defensible space inspector. I'm not sure what other questions you guys might have regarding zones or anything, but
Here I am.
Hi, I'm Gwen Barnes. I work with Calaveras County Public Health, and I'm here representing us.
My name's Karen Caldwell, and I'm actually from Tuolumne County. I'm a member, I'm the vice president of the Tuolumne Fire Safe Council, and I serve as the FireWise program coordinator for Tuolumne County.
I'm Laura Bauman with the American Red Cross.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Kelly Gerkensmeyer with the Calaveras County Water District. I would act as the PIO during an event, and I have actually worked through the Darby Fire, the Butte Fire, and most recently the Arrow Fire as a water employee there.
I'm Steve Lauterbach with Arnold Wind Trail Association, and we work with the Sheriff's Department in search and rescue.
Yeah, I'm Ken Sanders, and this maybe help answer what can we do. I'm an amateur radio operator. I've been in the county since on the heels of the old Gulf Fire and all the ones that came since then. And what can we do? We can stay informed, look for ways to take care of ourselves, and so I'm here representing the Ebbets Radio Safety Net, a community volunteer radio group to provide information when there isn't any other source of information. So we don't do anything stupid when there's something coming down. We can find out the right information. Hopefully. Thank you.
All right, so you may go, okay, wait a minute, I heard all that for a second. So I'm just going to reiterate kind of my version of how I look at it from a layman's perspective of what these people can offer you. So you can formulate some questions to hopefully generate some good conversation. So we got Ken Sanders over here. He is working with an initiative here locally. If you don't know about it, there are a special kind of handheld radio that's hooked up to some high-tech repeaters. And if you want to be part of that group, you got to talk to Ken. And that means when your cell phone's out, your landline's out, and you want to know what's going on, and you want to be networked in with people from Dorrington to Arnold to whoever that are folks just like you sharing information, Ken's your guy. Okay, so moving on. We got Dr. Steve Lauterbach, and retired, but nonetheless, he's got all this knowledge about Arnold Rim Trail. So if you want to know about Arnold Rim Trail, or maybe anything that works along with Arnold Rim Trail or anything like that, the list goes on and on. He's the EPOC guru, which is the Ebbets Pass Property Owners Committee. A great way to get information out. If you don't know what EPOC is and you live in our area, you need to talk to Steve. And then, of course, Kelly Gerkensmeyer. Anything CCWD. Right after those fires happened in Los Angeles, I swear to goodness, maybe you're here, I don't know, but somebody through a friend reported to the fire district that, hey, there's no water in the fire hydrant, because there's a big concern, right? Well, there isn't any water in the hydrants because they're dry barrel, and also it's very dangerous to go pulling caps off of fire hydrants, because if there is water, it's probably going to be under pressure and really get to you. So anything water related, we have the most beautiful water system up here. It is second to none. We get 100% of our points for our insurance surveyor's office because of what CCWD provides. So please, there should be a lot of questions. We got Laura with the Red Cross. It's Karen, correct? Karen. If you want to be FireWise noticed in your community and your HOA isn't, and you want to know how to do that because it saves every homeowner up to or around $200 if your insurance company recognizes it. You want to speak to Karen or ask questions. And then we got, Gwen. So if you have any questions about public health, things along those lines, Gwen's your person. And of course, really, we love having you up here because you are like the first guru of defensible space and all the things we're concerned about getting cited from CalFIRE. You're really the expert. We look to you. I love what you're saying, your message. Like, we're going to get that out there and inspect. I know a lot of folks in here want the regulations to be regulated, and you're the authority on it. So hopefully that explained a little bit about this panel. Is there anybody out there that has a question for any of our folks up here? Hey, let's get to it.
My question is for CalFIRE and defensible space, 4291 requirements. we've heard for several years since the legislature passed it, the Zone 0 Ember-Free Zone. At one point, I thought the intent was that it was going to become mandatory. So just kind of wondering what the status is on that and what you're looking for.
So with Zone 0, the law was passed in 2020 and legislation was constantly arguing back and forth of how to regulate it, what was to be enforced. After the LA fires, Governor Newsom put in like a mandatory executive order pushing it over to the Board of Forestry to make the decision on how that was going to be regulated. There's been multiple public meetings. There's a draft if you guys go onto the Board of Forestry website, you can take a look at. Nothing has been finalized yet. But there is ideas of what's going to be coming. Ideally, what we do know is that 0 to 5 feet, you can't have any kind of combustible material. So no grass, no shrubs, no anything like that within your 0 to 5 feet. I know in this area, trees are a big concern. Right now, the draft specifically says that the trees, if they're going to be within 5 feet of your house, the canopy has to be higher than the ridgeline of the house. So most of your trees are going to be okay. This is all supposed to be started to be implemented in December for new construction. So any of the newer homes that are being built in this area, that will be first like out the gate. They're saying that everyone else will have 3 years to get into compliance. A lot of the other things on there, it's all left up to debate right now, so I don't really want to scare anybody with a whole lot of information. But you guys, it's all the draft is public, so if you go to the Board of Forestry website, you can take a look at what they're going over right now.
Hi, good morning. We just walked in, sorry we were late. But I have a question. We clean our lawn every year, but our neighbor has for years just mulched it at his yard. So it's like a fire problem. So are they gonna take a look at mulching? I mean, it might be good for the trees, but it's still all that needles and everything down.
Mulching is something that is being discussed as well now that they're creating this new zone. I, again, don't have any specific answer on how this is going to be changing what we inspect and how we inspect it. If you guys have really serious concerns, please take down this phone number and leave a message on the Defensible Space Inspector line. It's 209-754-2766, and we can address those as they come in and get you guys on a list. 209-754-2766.
Or you can come see her at the table after we finish the panel. Is that okay? Yeah. Questions? I have a question. For Karen, for FireWise, does it have to be a full community to be a FireWise community, or can it be like a street in a community if the whole community doesn't want to participate? How does that work?
The FireWise community is, or the FireWise program is a national program, FireWise USA. And the purpose of it is to encourage residents to work together to reduce the risk of fire in their neighborhoods. And the idea being that it's beyond your 100-foot required defensible space. You're already required to do that, so you can get some credit for that in this program. But it's really looking at your community from a larger scale, like how does your home interact with the home here and the home over here, or the unclean lot that's next door, all those kinds of things, or your ingress, your egress, your roads, you need to do some cleaning. How do you help each other, such as people that maybe had a heart attack and they can't do their defensible space this year, can you help them? Or, elderly or handicapped, those kinds of things. It's all those sorts of things. The answer to your question is no. It's a grassroots effort, and it's a matter of people coming together and saying, "Hey, let's work together." You can do more together than you can as individuals. You can share resources and things, and you can pursue a variety of things. You need a minimum of 8 residences, and they do not need to be contiguous. So they can be scattered around. A maximum, I believe, is 2,500, but personally, I think that's way too big. The idea is you get a sense of community, you work together, you can actually have some fun, get to know your neighbors. Novel idea. But no, you do not. And there's pros and cons. You can organize under an HOA or look at a full development. There's some cons to that. Some people view HOAs as bringing some top-down requirements, so it's more top-down than bottom-up to some people, and so they may not want to participate. Other HOAs are just incredibly popular, and everybody's all together. So some work better than others. Small groups tend to, they tend to actually be more physically, individually active and working together. They come together and they have working days and potlucks and things like that. So you get a little more sense of community, I think, than you do in a larger one. But the downside to them is as somebody attritions out, it's often hard to fill that energy spot. So there's pros and cons to both.
Any other questions for anybody?
You got a question? Go ahead.
Hi, sorry I was late. It's midnight, 30-mile-an-hour winds. There is a real fire. In the Pacific Palisades fire, people abandoned their cars and they had to bulldoze them out of the way to get emergency services in. So if everyone goes to the highway, first responders aren't going to be able to come up, especially with a big semi truck with a tractor or something. So what's your advice?
There's a gentleman behind you that is incognito. He was on the panel earlier, but we'll take this one last one for the responder panel. Go ahead.
So as far as the first responders getting through cars that are blocking the roadway, we have snow plows, we have tow trucks. We will push the cars out of the way. CHP can push the cars out of the way. We will make sure that the roadways are open. Our sheriff, Sheriff Whiting, is very, clear leader's intent. We're going to make things safe no matter what the cost. If somebody leaves their car on the roadway, we push it out, pull it out. Some good Samaritan pushes it, pulls it out. We will make the roadway safe. And when we respond to fires, it's an all hands on deck, and we're going to make it safe. So any situation, whether it be cars on the roadway, trees across the road, we have chainsaws in our office. There's the county road department. We will get you out. We'll make it safe for you guys to get out.
We have one more question. Thank you.
Good morning. I've seen Facebook postings about GMRS, and I know there's a table, but I was wondering if you could just share information.
Let me understand your question again.
If you could just describe what it is and what are the benefits.
GMRS stands for General Mobile Radio Service. It's a licensed radio service from the Federal Communications Commission. It is in the UHF band at 462 megahertz, if that means anything to you, high in the UHF band. And it's licensed to a family. There's no test for it, but it is a license that you go online with the FCC and get a number, and then go to another place and register, and go get another place and pay. So the biggest hurdle is to get your license. There's no testing. But we'll help you get through that. And talking on it's like any other two-way radio. There's 6 channels that are repeatable in GMRS, and we use channel 20. And it's like being on a party line. Anybody ever remember? Anybody here remember a party line? It's just like a party line. In some ways, that's bad, but in this case, it's good because it's a community-wide connection. We have a local repeater that's worked up on the top of Summit Level out here. Thankful to the fire department and others allow us to put our little repeater up there along with their equipment that allows us to connect Big Trees Village down to Forest Meadows. Not 100% everybody gets it, but there is some connectivity all the way up and down from that repeater there. Recently, we improved the location of a similar repeater in the Forest Meadows area, moved it to a better place, and that reaches back up here to folks on Greensboro. And I can get into it at my place on Patricia Lane, and then it reaches down into downtown Murphy's and pretty much down towards Douglas Flat and whatnot. So it was, Marlene is one of our visionaries to start this, and she was very hopeful that we could put together a citizens radio network that would cover the District 3 of our supervisor's district. And we've got some coverage through a great portion of that now. I guess I have hope of improving with one more repeater down at Red Hill roadside that would reach back up and then further on down towards Angels Camp. But right now we have some 58 people who are active in our weekly nets. We're running a little net on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. and Saturday morning at 9 p.m. Typically, I take care of the Wednesday night net as calling the net, and volunteers are doing it. Others are doing it on Saturday. And they're the beauty of this. They're learning, they're getting in and talking on the radio, learning how to use it, and becoming involved. And we've kind of got a little fellowship. We've got anywhere from 15 to 20 to 22 people on each one of these times to get together. So we're building some community. The idea is that if other means of communications have been lost or not available, we can be a backbone of information. There'll be some relay one to another, because the relays are on the same channel, but you need a different code to get into each one. So we need people that can hear both sides and kind of play traffic cop in the network. What is that? Go ahead.
I just wanted to add, Ken, they also meet in person. And for novices like me, it made all the difference. They're very affordable. It was $40 for 2 radios. And you bring them and they program them, and it all sounds very complicated, but actually you guys make it so easy. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyhow, did I answer your question or give you too much? My kids always say, please, Dad, give us a short answer. Did I?
All right, so, go ahead.
One last, we got actually back at my table in the back, there's QR codes. So our website, ersn.net, is a place to get further information. Or in Facebook, search for group ERSN, Abbott's Radio Safety Net, to get more information or contact me. Thank you.
Follow-up question. Does your summit level repeater have line of sight northward into District 2?
Yes, some, but it's not particularly good into District 2. Actually, the Forest Meadows repeater looks into District 2. The one in Forest Meadows looks into District 2 better, I think. But there's some out of each, yes, there is.
Summit level runs into Railroad Flat, so I thought maybe you would be lucky enough to get line of sight over that way.
I've got on my computer in the back room, if you want to stop for a second, I've got some view sheds. A view shed is a kind of a shading of what you can see from 30 feet up in the air above a certain spot, and it shades those areas that can be seen directly. So I've got those view sheds, and for each one of the repeaters that we use. So we can have a look at that and see what's close. Radio waves go further than line of sight. They've been some, but if you can see it, or if you tend to see the site from in your mapping, if you see the site shaded, you're likely going to be very good. If you're off in between spots that you're seeing, you probably still will get it. If there's nothing in the area being hit, you're probably not going to get back into it. But it's something I use to determine good places to put repeater, or who I can talk to from any specific place with UHF or VHF radio. Just I do other stuff for search and rescue and whatnot. So that's I can let you know.
So as soon as we feel comfortable that we've warmed this group up, I've got really 2 closing comments from this group. If we're ready to transition into that, because I know Martha wants to give some stuff away with some raffle she has. All right, so let's wrap it up and go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure everybody knows, there's a couple people that had a question regarding when 4291 enforcement starts and ends. And to answer that question for everyone, it is year-round. It's not during just fire season. Keeping your lot maintained is a year-round job. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'd just like to invite you to stop in the back and talk to me about FireWise Community if you think you might be interested in forming one of those. I really encourage you to take a look at it. It's a great program. It really is making a difference in many neighborhoods. And there is an insurance discount for that most insurance companies are providing for recognized communities. But the main purpose of it is reducing risk, and we can't be islands anymore with the embers coming in from miles away. We need to think bigger than our just 100 feet around our house. So this is a wonderful program. We each have a responsibility as property owners. Firefighters aren't always going to be able to protect our homes and properties. So stop by.
I just wanted to let you guys know we have some more resources for emergency preparedness in the back at our public health booth. We have resources from HHSA as well. And we are doing a raffle for an iPad for residents over 65, as well as some emergency preparedness goodie bags that have an emergency radio in there, like a small one, a file, something to hold your files, like your important documents. So if anyone's interested in that, just come on back to our booth, please.
Hi, I want to let everybody know that we are having a blood drive up here at the Moose Lodge on May 14th. Yay! All you have to do is go to redcrossblood.org to sign up for that. It's going to be from 9 till 3 in the afternoon, or ending in the afternoon. Also, I have a booth back there with information on how to put together a go bag. Martha has lended me hers, and it's excellently put together. Thank you, Martha. And I've got a volunteer sign-up sheet if anybody's interested in doing anything with the Red Cross. I'd appreciate you stopping by. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to add to the go bag. There's a go bag that has my dog's stuff, my stuff, the clothes, a little bit of food. But at one of the Red Cross trainings, they said, make an electronics bag, like a backpack or something that you keep in your house, because we all have extra cords and extra plugs for this or that, and we never know where it is. But if you have a bag right there, then it's all ready to go. You can then slip your phone, your iPad, or laptop right into it. So in addition to that, there's make an electronics bag.
I think we're the last few comments are wrapping up. I think everybody will be available. I think everybody's getting hungry. Martha wants to do that. I just wanted to say that if you know what kind of activities go on at the Moose Lodge, you may have to determine what kind of blood you want donated, because you never know. Maybe a little libation in there. I'm not too sure, but I'm just kidding. Thought we could use a little lack. Okay.
Sorry.
Anyone who goes out on the Arnold Wind Trail should stop in the back, and we'll get a map on your phone so that you always know exactly where you are within 3 feet. And this is not just the Arnold Wind Trail, it's the whole interface, which is the Forest Service from the Logging Museum all the way down to Avery Sheep Ranch Road and the entire San Domingo Canyon part. So wherever you are, you'll know where you are. And we have a professional cartographer who volunteers, did the map. Arnold Wind Trail bought a $2,700 device. It's super accurate GPS. And we make the map available for free to 2 mapping apps so that public safety, there's never going to be an expense to obtain public safety. So to just stop in the back, if you ever go out in that area, we'll get this on your phone for you. Thank you.
No, I was just going to say, for any of you who really wanted to ask a water question but didn't feel comfortable doing it right now, I'll be in the back till the end. So any questions at all, please come on back.
What would happen if when we get our wildfire and, we have water tanks throughout the area, what happens, we come back, do you have a water system to protect the tanks? Are we gonna come back without water?
Well, every situation would be different, so it really depends. There's up here in this area, we have over a dozen different tank zones and over 100 different water pressure zones. So it would really depend on where that fire came into the system. And so again, everyone's going to be unique. I can't say for every situation. During the Arrow fire in June, we did see some demand on parts of the system that we had to work through the EOC and have certain water tenders maybe draw off a different tank to keep the critical water tenders going off one zone. So it would be very dependent on the situation.
Question here. Oh, just really quickly, if I could, I just want to add, there is someone in our community that needs 55 units of blood. She's dancing in the back, so I can say her name. Her name is Angela, and she needs 55 units of blood every week. It takes 55 people to donate for her to get blood. So it's really important that you come out for our blood drives. Every month we have one, or every other month we have one in the community. Native Sons of the Golden West down in Murphy's has a blood drive all the time, and then we have this one coming up here May 14th. So thank you for that, and we love Angela, so we have to keep her alive.
So Kelly, I believe at one of our meetings, you let us know that we have decommissioned the last redwood tank up here. Is that right? We're now all metal tanks?
We have one more tank that feeds timber trails down by Sheep Ranch, but almost all of the tanks up along the Highway 4 corridor are now glass-lined steel tanks.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
And we're actually working on a grant for replacing that one too. So we replaced one this last summer down in Copperopolis. And again, I think we replaced 8 up here over the last 3 years.
All right, so if we want to give our support panel a round of applause and let them know. Thank you, everybody. And we are swiftly working through the tail end of the agenda, and it's just, I think, one last formality that